New South Wales urged to conserve power where possible. The combination is part of the grid, not at full operational level, and also very hot weather. Joining the panel now, Shadow Climate Change and Energy Minister Ted O'Brien. Thanks for your time. The explanation from the Minister in Parliament today, which you saw, was 5 coal and gas units not operating, and obviously the hot weather. So how is that renewable energy's fault?
Are you talking about the blackout today?
Well, the potential, the one early this morning or the looming one this afternoon?
So if you look at what the market operator has said over the last few days, we're looking at potential blackouts. That's the starting point. Secondly, you've had the Premier come out and ask people not to wash their clothes, don't wash your dishes, because they've done their best at trying to get companies to down tools. So they've told the big companies, can you stop using so much electricity? And now they're going to residents. In terms of the reasons behind all of that, I'm sure you'll get lots of different experts. Reality is the whole thing's a mess.
But there are coal units down today, aren't there? 5 coal and gas units.
I believe there are, which begs the question, why is Chris Bowen so determined to close them? I mean, if he had his way, Eraring would be closed. Let's not forget that.
But Chris Minns has extended Eraring.
And I was the first one to congratulate him publicly, and I've done it since, and I did it last week face-to-face. Chris Bowen was out there all through the time when there were rumours of Eraring being extended, saying, no, that won't happen. That doesn't need to happen. And then finally he conceded by saying, well, maybe for 2 months. I mean, seriously, this is the problem. If you're being driven by, I think, ideology and idiocy, this is where you end up.
But Labor's not saying shut them down, that's it. They would replace them. Now, there's a whole complex debate around cost and how you do it in the best way. But it also shows, doesn't it, that the coal system, it's an ageing fleet in Australia. Well, trying to get more years out of it could be problematic.
Tom, to be clear, Labor is saying to shut down coal plants earlier than the coal plant owners themselves say they're going to shut down. So that is a premature shutdown of coal. So within 10 years, they are saying that 90% of our baseload power is out of the system. Gone. This is their plan.
This has to help your nuclear argument, right? I mean, the answer, people will say to you, though, they'll say, well, that's great. You're going to fix it in 10 to 15 years. Thanks a lot. What are you doing now? But outside of that, I would have thought you'd be rubbing your hands together in terms of this and saying, here's the argument right here. Reliable baseload, I mean,
I get your point. I'm not, though, mainly because you have 6,000 households right now that don't have electricity. And we don't know what they're going through. For some, I'm sure it probably doesn't mean much. But I tell you what, I bet you there's a whole bunch of people who are struggling today, and there is zero guarantee this is going to get any better. In fact, it's going to get worse. But you're right in the point that it goes to the importance of having that always-on, 24/7 form of baseload power in the system. And if it's not going to be coal, well, it has to be nuclear.
You just said always on. 2 are down unplanned. They're not on. They're coal. So
no, that's fair. That's fair.
Does it speak to an issue around replacement, that if the nuclear plan encounters a need to extend coal, that could be problematic?
So it goes to the starting point is you always have to plan for the worst day of the year. And you need to have sufficient capacity in the system for that. At any time, anything can happen to any technology. If you look at recently, our wind resources were only running at 7% of the time. 7%. Now, in fairness to the developers, no one plans for that. But if the wind stops blowing, I mean, stuff happens, right? Which is why our approach is you need to diversify. You need to have a balanced energy mix. You do need wind, you do need solar, you do need hydro, and you need a form of baseload power, and you need gas.
But how is the coalition, if you win the next election, going to fix the reliability issues we're clearly seeing with these coal plants? What can a federal government do to fix, because we're going to need coal for longer under your plan? How do you make sure they're running all the time? Yeah, so there's a few things. Most importantly, we have already said the government's made a mistake with respect to gas. Again, this is a balanced energy mix. We've already announced as part of our policy, we will include gas in the capacity investment scheme. When Labor came to office, you had the Independent Energy Security Board saying you need to keep capacity, like a capacity mechanism, so that as these weather-dependent resources aren't working, you need to be able to have coal and gas doing what they need to do. Labor said no.
Why? Ideology. Our approach is we will make sure that we have gas included in the capacity investment scheme. There's probably no more important dispatchable source of energy for our near term than gas. We are worlds apart, the Labor Party and the coalition, on that.
Do you see a role for batteries in stabilising the grid?
Indeed. I think batteries too are going to be key. There's a limit just because of where they're at in terms of technologically how many hours they can stay. But we need all of the above, which is why our approach has never been and will never be ideological. It's a genuine, let's put all the technologies on the table. Doesn't mean everyone gets a prize, right? But you've got to be driven by the engineering and the economics to say what is the right mix of those technologies and not be wedded because you happen to love a technology. It's just foolish.
When it comes to the details of the nuclear policy, you've been on Sky before and said we'll see those before the end of this year. 4.5 weeks away, time's ticking. Are we still going to...
You're right. I have been on Sky many a time and I've said consistently that by the end of the year, you'll see our 2050 energy mix and you'll see the economics.
So next week?
But we have... Is it
next week?
End of the year next year?
Oh, so, what are you doing? December 24.
But we have talked about everything from the forms of technology, the ownership, the regulatory regime, the locations, the community engagement, the community benefit scheme. The only thing that people are calling for now is the economics, and again.
It's also the mix, isn't it? Just
and the mix. No, that's fair.
No big deal. The cost is nothing really.
In a way, you can't talk about the economics without the mix.
We've had this report that the Prime Minister stopped Tanya Plibersek doing a deal with the Greens on the nature positive legislation, the new environmental agency. What do you think's behind that, if it's true? Well, what's going on?
Well, I mean, it was a stupid thing to do to want to do a deal with the Greens on that anyway, but I think it's the relationship between Plibersek and the Prime Minister. That's my view.
Chris Bowen wanted to debate you today.
Yes, great.
You'd agree to that?
Well, not only would I agree, but I mean, I'm here tonight. I'm here tomorrow morning. If you guys are up for it, I don't know how flexible you are with your schedule. Let's have a chat.
I'm on a plane to a wedding, but I'm sure others...
It wouldn't be as fun. The wedding wouldn't be as fun,
Chris
mate.
Bowen, Politics Now tomorrow. I'm hosting. I'm sure you'd love to be interviewed.
Yeah, I'm up for it, mate. So
basically...
Ted will debate you, Chris Bowen.
But will that happen? Because we often get, I'll do it.
Chris Bowen will be a cold day in hell.
My schedule doesn't work out, or I don't want to do it.
But anyway.
Well, here's the thing in terms of it not working. The beautiful thing for you is tomorrow, we've been told, you don't know when Parliament's going to finish. So we're all here. And the diaries are clear unless the bells go. I'm here tomorrow morning. Sure. If Chris Bowen would love a chat. Let's not forget, Chris Bowen and the Labor Party established this Nuclear Energy Standing Committee to go around the country. It's a political stitch-up. Labor have the numbers. I asked him to chair it, and I would serve as his deputy chair. Let's do it together so we can thrash all this out, sitting side by side. He refused, didn't want to be part of that. He's getting other people to do the work. So, yeah, get him in. Love to have a chat.
Watch this space,
Chris Bowen.
We'll text him now.
The chair's here.
Okay.
Where's he sitting?
Sorting it all out here on Politics.